and welcome to Inspiring You to Live, brought to you by NWI Educate. I'm Pastor Karen Simmons, and today we have none other than beautiful Cherry, now Stefani.
Yeah.
Welcome. Thank you so very much.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for asking me to come on here.
Well, thank you for accepting.
Yeah.
And please remember, judgment-free zone. And here we share stories of survival and testimonies of overcoming adversities and finding reasons to live. And Cherry, like when you told me that you've been kidnapped and raped and have been brought out of substance abuse, I was like, wow, will you come share it on national TV?
Yeah.
I'm just going to take it into existence. And you said yes, and I want to say thank you, first of all.
Oh, you're welcome.
And will you tell us a little bit about that? Like, I did not know you'd been kidnapped and these things.
Yeah, of course. Well, the kidnapping part was towards the end of my addiction. It was actually one of my ex-boyfriends, and we got in trouble. Well, his house got busted, and I got implicated in things. So, me messing up on drugs and being ignorant at the time. He was in the woods, hiding in the woods in St. Augustine behind the Ross. You know, people that are from there will know where that's at. And I went back there with him, and he was supposed to have drugs, and he was going to explain everything to me about what was going on, you know. So in my state of mind, it was a win-win. And little did I know, I was like, put myself in a trap. And so when I went to leave, he just freaked out and he started beating me. And mind you, I'm in the middle of the woods, a clearing. Like, I didn't know how to get out or anything. So it was kind of crazy. And I remember him having a knife to me, and he wasn't going to let me go. He wasn't even going to let me live. And I remember saying, at the time, he hated my mom. So I know it had to be God to put the words in my mouth, because at that time, like, how would I know what to say? And so I was like, Stacy, think about what you're doing. My mom will raise my daughter. And he hated her. So that was what stopped him from actually killing me, as crazy as that sounds. And I remember my nose was broken. I still have a scar from it. And blood just coming everywhere. And he had a tent back there, and I remember him just putting water in my face, like almost drowning me, trying to get the blood off, and slapping me around, and just, you know, verbally and physically being abusive. And I had, at the time, I had sleeping pills.
Okay.
And so he took them, and I didn't know if he really took them, because he was kind of crazy. Like, did he really take them, or am I just, you know what I mean? And he was like adamant about me not leaving the place. And that wasn't the first time he wouldn't let me leave somewhere. But, you know, like I said, when you're in addiction, you think crazy, man. Like, you would never do anything like that in your normal state of mind. And so I remember looking at him, and he passed out. And I remember thinking, okay, all right, this is my chance, because I knew he would have killed me. He would have killed me. He was already talking about killing me. I think I know it was only a saving grace why he didn't kill me at that moment. And so I remember, like, kind of scooting away from him. He done took my phone apart, had my bags and stuff, and I acted like I was using the bathroom. Then I would go back. You know, I was testing it for about like an hour, because I didn't know. You know, I'm like, I know if he sees me leave, he's gonna kill me. You know, and
so you're just kind of testing the water.
Yeah, I was testing water. That's because even then I knew I had to fight for survival. You know what I mean? If I would have stayed there, that would have been the worst thing, because, you know, he would have ended up doing something. But mind you, my eyes swelled up, my nose broken. I'm covered, you know, bruises from head to toe. Where he had me by my throat, and the knife, I literally had an imprint. And it wasn't like a bruise, it was like blood imprint, like so hard. And so I remember running through the woods, listening, because I can hear the train. So that's the only way I got out. And I remember running, and then I seen a ditch, and I just went whoo, flat out like that. And in my mind, I was thinking, should I go back? Oh man, if he woke up, I need to go back. And I was like, no, if I go back, he's going to kill me. And I remember just being really quiet. And it was about another hour for the next train to go by for me to figure. I was trying to figure out how to get out, you know.
Okay.
And I knew if you kind of could hear the train, I could figure it out. And so I laid in that the ditch, kind of for a long time, and then I heard the train, and I was barefooted. So I just ran. I didn't look back, and through the woods, I figured out how to get out. And so here's the train tracks, and you're talking about stones and everything. So I'm like,
and no
shoes, no shoes. I knew, you know, I seen the lights. I just kept on running, and I ran, and finally I got up by Ross and St. Augustine, and I had snuck my phone when he was sleeping, so I put it together then, and then I called a cab. And at the time, it was a cab driver that I knew because of my addiction and stuff. And he didn't even realize it was me. And I called my father, which is crazy because I wasn't on talking terms really with him. And I was just like, hey, this is what happened. I mean, I was so beat up, like, you know, I did not want my daughter to see me like that. And so I went to Jacksonville until I got money to get myself out of jail, you know, because nobody wants to go to jail, and told them my story about what happened, him trying to kill me, because he was like, in that time, talking about how he's going to blackmail me if you even survive, and he said some other crazy things, you know, I don't want to speak what he said, but, you know, I know at that moment that if I wouldn't have got out, he would have killed me, and it was only the grace of God, you know, and you would think I would have learned from that, but I still went on for a little while longer before God took me out of everything.
Wow.
So
that, I am so glad.
Yeah.
And I heard you say a couple of times it was the grace of God.
Yeah.
The grace of God. And I'm sure there's somebody watching that can say, you know what? I had a grace of God experience also. I had to run barefoot also. Wait a minute. I had to fall in the ditch also. And, you know, and I heard you mention, you know, you were in the lifestyle of addiction when all of this was going on. How long were you in the lifestyle?
Well, I was sober from 19 to 25. I did a lot of drugs before I had my daughter, and I thought I knew it all. And then when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, no more.
Okay.
So at 25, I had a really bad car wreck. The enemy hit me hard. I had to move back with my mom. I couldn't work out. You know, depression was my major trigger.
Okay.
For both times I relapsed bad in my life. But you know, the enemy don't come with no new tricks. So I done learned, you know, how he got me the first 2 times, and learned to not let that ever happen again. But I got married, and my ex-husband was extremely abusive. He was selling cocaine, and right before then, I started doing cocaine. Okay. Again, went from cocaine, and then I moved to Jacksonville, was smoking crack with my husband, and I worked at nighttime in my father's business. So it was like, at that part, I covered it up.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, nobody knew. My daughter never knew. No, it didn't affect my life. I mean, it did affect my life. It did affect my life, but not to others to see it. You know.
Which we do. We do. We cover up our sins, if you will, our little secrets. And I heard that low point where you're in the middle of woods. If you could grasp that moment where you said, no, I'm not going to die here.
Yeah.
And you pushed through and you said, I will live. What can you tell somebody that may be in a similar situation that's like, you know, I know this isn't where I'm supposed to be. I know this isn't how I'm supposed to be living. I know I'm not supposed to be with this man that's beating the hell out of me. And that's really what it is. And I know that there is better. What can you tell someone that might inspire them to pick up the phone, whether you dial 911, whether you call the crisis hotline, whether you inbox me, because I do have a master's degree in mental health counseling, get help. What can you share with somebody as we wrap up this show?
Well, I would think, with my first husband, I just knew I didn't want to be around that. With the second incident, I had to find the Lord. The Lord's what helped me, because I always was a product of my environment. I never realized I had a choice. And the Lord brought that to me, like, listen, you got a choice. You choose to live, and you're worthy. And anything you've ever done or think that shame comes from the enemy. He just tries to keep you down, but you are worthy and you're worth a good life. And you can choose that. You can choose today to do it, because I didn't think I had a choice. I thought I had to deal with this, or I wasn't worthy enough. Even my family or friends, listen now, God gives you that. God gives you that. Like he gave me that. I have a choice, and you choose on how people treat you. You choose how, if you're going to allow somebody to listen, nobody's worth that. They're not worth it. At all. And God has so much more for you. And it's crazy, because you go to church and you have this, okay, here's God. But no, when you really spend that time and you really learn who He is, you're like, man, I am the daughter of the Most High King.
High five to that.
You know what I'm saying?
Woo!
I'm a princess, and a princess, what do? They get treated right. And if people can't treat you right, and not just men, then you need to cut them out. And if you're in a bad situation where you have no choice, or you have kids, because you know what, I've been in that, where you don't have an outlet. There is outlets, and there is hope. You just have to take it minute by minute, day by day, and just a lot of prayer and a lot of people that give you that love.
Positive people.
Yes.
And see, you've heard it from someone that have experience. It's not just me.
Yes.
Sherry, you have a choice. And today, together, we're telling you, choose to live. Choose to live. And I just had to say it that many times, because sometimes it takes hearing it over and over again.
Yes.
Choose life. Choose, and I'm going to say it, choose Christ the Father, Christ the Son, Christ the Holy Spirit. We're here to inspire you to live in spite of, to live in the midst of, and to live after you've gone through. When you've done all you can to stand therefore. We love you with the love of God. See you next week. Be encouraged.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.